All right, this is just a short one on the TSE300R. So this is the PDS shock. And before I get into this, I got no ill will towards GPX. I'm not angry at them anymore. Like, I went through my frustrated period, but as I'm making this, I'm like, no, no, no. I'm looking through this with a clear lens. I'm just explaining the situation of what happened. So, OEM SZC shock here, and it works. When it works all right. It's not a bad shock by any means. So less than 50 hours, I blew out this shock, which was kind of like, no, that's shitty, but it's not too bad. Suspension should be refreshed around 50 hours or so. So it's like, whatever, let's fix it. Since I didn't know exactly what kind of seals and things are inside here, I was like, you know what? I'm going to send this over to GPX. We'll have them do the work. And since I was sending it out, I just figured, hey, put a bladder on there as well. While that was out, I got a good deal on the WP shock, so I just went that direction. And so I got this one back. It's freshly rebuilt. It's never been used on my bike. And I was going to sell it and just, recoup some money. And then I went to go play with the clickers. My compression clickers work as expected, but the rebound clicker, it looks fine, but it spins indefinitely to the right. And every 6 clicks, it makes a little popping noise inside there. So that was really frustrating to get a shock back from rebuild and find issues with it. But I could live with that as long as it was fixed. So I brought it up with GPX, and GPX just kind of wrote me off, which again, at the time, I was a little more frustrated. But looking back on this, I'm like, I really don't care anymore. I have working bikes. I've got a working shock on my bike. It's a good shock. It's a WP shock. So anyway, GPX kind of wrote me off, and I was like, all right, whatever. I'll go use my WP shock. Then a week later, GPX hits me up and says, hey, okay, yeah, the rebound adjuster has really fine threads. It can be really easy to break. We can see how that can happen. Let's just send you some parts. And they did send these to me, these 2 parts, free of charge, which would have been a really, really nice gesture. But I don't know if you can see this on this clevis. This side's straight. This side is bent in. Like right there, it's 2 millimeters more narrow than it is up here. And you can actually see it when you hold these up to them. Like right there on the left-hand side, about 2 millimeters more. So if I were to rebuild my shock with this clevis and then go try to use it on the bike, it might not work on the bike because it might not actually fit on my heim joint. And I honestly don't know how that got bent for that side, because this is not thin metal. That's 1/4 inch. I mean, it's aluminum for sure. And it is possible I could bend that back, but that's one of those things, like, this is a structural component to me for my shock. I don't really want that breaking off, or if that is hurt. So anyway, just to go back to this, so that's kind of my woes with the GPX suspension. So when a shock blows out less than 50 hours, that's sucky, but not end all, whatever. That's part of riding. When it blows out and you send it to the company that sells these and they rebuild it poorly, that's more frustrating, but hey, that could be fixed too. When they send you the parts to rebuild it yourself and the parts are damaged that are coming in, then it's like, oh, you know what? We're going to talk about this. And that's the other thing. With the shock, I paid $300 for a rebuild and bladder kit, and it is a non-working shock, which I have to still rebuild to make it a working shock. So that's kind of shitty. So that's, again, not talking down GPX. I'm just explaining the situation. My bikes are all running. But I think this is the reason why people are worried about Chinese motorcycles. If you can't repair your stuff and it's not easy to repair it, I don't want that bike. That's how I feel. And after this shock, I'm pretty pushed away from things, because I was like, man, I would have hoped these are rebuildable. And they are-ish. Just be really careful on your rebound adjuster, apparently. Because if you break it, you might get shoddy parts to try to fix it. And that's a full shock rebuild. So anyway, hopefully people are getting out there, getting some riding in before the winter weather hits. I know I will be because I got a working bike. This is just me explaining stuff. I'm not worried about this anymore. I'm totally over this shock. But get out there, get some riding in before snow. Take it easy.